All right, so direct mail campaigns. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm just logged into Command. I don't really have a PowerPoint for this one like I do for Facebook ads. I think that these tend to be a little bit more simple. Keeping in mind, you know, before you start, I would think about your budget and still think about who you're wanting to target, because you do have to choose an area that these cards don't necessarily have to go to that specific area, but you have to choose one area for them to kind of stem from. So first, I am going to go into designs to actually pick out my postcard. And I'm just going to click the add button and I'm going to pull in the print. So all of these have been formatted for print type. You can change them between jumbo postcards, flyers, standard postcards, anything like that. And then all of the categories over here are what you have the option of. So all of these are app related. So, you know, get 3 a.m. answers to your 3 a.m. questions, stuff like that, trying to get them to download your app. If you have a listing you want to highlight, I wouldn't really market a for sale listing in this market, but you never know. If you have a price update on a listing that's having a hard time moving, you could easily send a postcard for that. Just change it to standard postcards, and then these are the options you have for a price update. Back when we could do open houses, you could have done open house postcards. Just sold. I think these are the most popular ones right now because you can say just sold in however many days to try to highlight yourself and your awesome selling skills. If you want to do neighborhood snaps, these, if you change to standard postcards, if you want to highlight a certain, like if I want all of these to go to Gates 4, and I know that, I can bring in information just about that area and send those to the residents that live there. Keller Mortgage, if you want to highlight that, there's actually no postcards in there. And then you have some lead generation options. So if you wanted to do a home value one to try and, you know, get some listings out there, you can send postcards for holidays, birthdays, stuff like that. Really anything you can come up with, event invitations. But today I'm just going to pull in one of the what is your home worth designs. I'm going to click use. And we'll just go with this first one. So all of the postcards, they all come front and back if you use them in designs. And really it's just coming in and plugging in your information and adding whatever you want to here. So if I wanted to just leave, find out what your home is worth on the front, Keller Williams-Fayetteville is going to go on the back, but if you wanted to add it to the front, you easily could, or anything about you. But I'm going to switch to the back of it. So obviously I don't want this guy's face on it. So I'm going to go in and upload my headshot if I can find it in this computer. And then once I have it selected, I'm just going to hit this replace image and it's going to put my photo in there instead of his. If I want to reposition it, you can do that as well. And then from here, it's really just putting in my information. So for the text, you have a few options. You can either just like click and erase directly in here, or I find, you know, things can get a little finicky sometimes. Sometimes the best way is to just click on it. If you come up here, you have the typewriter option. Clicking that will pull up this screen, so you don't have to worry about it messing up the format, because that happens sometimes. I'm just going to save changes. And then since my name was a little bit longer than the initial one, I'm just going to format it so it fits. If you're on a team, you can put your team name in there. Otherwise, you can just click on it and hit delete and it'll close it out. If I wanted to play around with the design elements of this a little bit, like move this up, I just select it. You can drag and drop. I prefer to just move it up on the keypad, whatever really works for you. And I'm going to go ahead and move that up as well. So I'm going to come into my typewriter and just plug in all of my information. save it, and then just drag and drop until it all fits. For download my app, I'm going to go back into command so I can get my app URL. And it is just in the consumer applet. And then if I'm going to toggle that off because that does not need to be active, but I'm going to go into my site and app settings and then just change it to URLs. And then this one down here is your app URL that if anybody uses this link to download it and create a new account, it's already going to be branded to you. So I'm just going to copy, come back over into designs, and then paste that in. And then I'm going to move that over since it is a little bit longer. All that's really left is just the logo. So I'm going to click on it and then switch to my logos option. And since this one has the gray background, it's going to look a little bit weird with the white. So I'm going to bring in my transparent. Oh, well, that one's text is a little bit weird. On Connect, there is one with a white text. That would probably be better for something like this. I'm just going to drag over the white one just for the sake of having the Williams-Fayetteville logo in there. So here you can just look at this text, see if there's anything you want to change. Offer, you might just want to get a little bit more straight to the point and just offer a CMA, something like that. And then this white space is where the address is going to go. So you don't want to add anything in there. So I'm going to check over my front, but so far everything looks good. And this is the postcard I want to send. So the thing with mail designs and downloading this, you have to download it. I'm going to change the title so far. Let's call it free CMA. You have to download it as a PDF. And then for the download range, you have to download each side separately. So you're going to want to change the range from 1 to 1. And then you want it to be the high resolution print quality because this one is actually going to get printed. And then there's one more additional thing in the settings. You have to use the manual bleed, otherwise it's not going to let you upload the template in. So I'm going to start my download and that's going to do my first page. And as soon as that pops up in here, I'm going to go do the same thing for my other. So all of my settings are still in there. I just need to change it from 2 to 2 and then start download. Okay, so up here it'll say download ready. You can see when things save, it kind of comes and goes, but if you ever want to manually save it just to be safe, you can just do file and then save and it'll say saved. It's kind of like Google Docs where everything saves automatically, but things happen sometimes. So I like to save it manually just to be safe. At this point though, I'm done with designs. So I'm just going to hit done and get out of here. And that takes me back to the home page. So I'm going to go into my campaigns applet. And then what we're working on today is the direct mail. So you can see information in here, but I'm going to hit create a new campaign and I'm going to choose direct mail. So this looks a lot like it does when you run a social ad. I'm going to enter. I believe I already have one called free CMA. I think that I could have multiple with the same name though. And then if you want to, well, you have to choose a goal, but it doesn't really change the format. But for this one, we'll say I'm trying to attract listings. And then since I made those templates and designs, I'm going to choose to upload a custom template. And then I'm going to set up my campaign. So the first thing it's going to do is going to ask me to upload my designs. This one is the front, so I'm going to drag it in there. It's going to process and it's going to pull up the image of the front of my postcard. And since I just did a standard postcard, it's already going to default it to 4 inches by 6 inches. I'm going to do the same thing to the back of the postcard and just drag and drop it in there. And there it is. I'm going to hit continue. So now we just choose our market center. I don't know that I have a logo saved in here. Put that one in. So market center name, I'm just going to put KW Fayetteville and then our address. Come on. I'm going to verify, and it's going to tell me it doesn't like the address I entered, and it'll want to correct it. So I just go with whatever it says. So next is the targeting. So if this was like a Christmas card, you could easily target it to your database. Or if you were trying to basically just get this out to those you already have added into your contacts, you would want to choose that option. But if you're trying to get some new leads from it, you're going to want to do local targeting. And this is what I mentioned, that you don't have to really have a specific address that you want these to go to, but you need to have an address to base the range off of. So I just went into Zillow and picked this random house. So I'm going to see if I can use this one as my starting address. And I guess it liked that. Longview Drive extension. And then your budget. So this will give you your quantity. You can't really change the postage, but you're only paying 59 cents for each of these postcards. So if I only wanted to spend $100, you just kind of have to play around with your quantity until you get to whatever you want to spend. Keep in mind, it's going to give you the option to send one to the market center. That's going to bring you over your budget by 59 cents. So if that's something you want to do, you need to think about that now. So if my budget was $100 total, this is with the 169 that are being sent out. If I elect to have one sent to the market center, it's going to bring me over. So I would just knock it down one more just to keep me within budget. And then from here, you just save. Everything is checked off. So I'm going to go into step 2, which is configure targeting. And yes, I want to create this campaign. Maybe. I need Jeopardy music. Okay, so this is my initial address. If, I had chosen one of the ones where it's highlighting some features of the neighborhood and some stats, I could be essentially done here. If I wanted to kind of span this out a little bit, that's pretty easy to do as well. You can zoom out as far as you want, and you can see we're all in one area. So from here, let's say I only wanted to target this to single family homes. Once I changed that, that didn't really change anything a whole lot. But if I want to target this to only those with homes with more than 4 bedrooms, you can see we're starting to spread out a little bit. If I want to target to square footage, that is, these are random numbers that it lands on, 2108 or more, we're spreading out a little bit more. I'm going to bump that one up just so we get a greater reach. You're built. We'll say I want things that were built after 1995. All right, we're going to choose 1996. So we're not even in the initial area that I wanted to start in, just based on these parameters, and we're getting pretty wide out. But I mean, target it however you want. If I want year last sold, we'll say you know, I don't know why 1800 is an option, but I guess there are some homes that haven't been sold in that long. But I'm going to bump that up to homes that have been sold between 1959 and that were last sold. We'll do 2005. Feels like it shouldn't be that long ago, but it was 15 years ago. And then we will say, so now it's really thinking, okay, so now I'm kind of running into the issue where only 113 homes in the area match my search. So I'm going to bump that up and see if maybe I can get 168 to fall in. Okay, we'll say I want homes that were last sold for more than 222,000. I'm gonna have to lower that. All right, we will leave that one alone. So that becomes an issue if you're targeting so, you know, narrow that you're running out of houses to target. Just bump some things up and down a little bit until you can get enough houses that fall into the number that you want to target. So for these, I can zoom in. I can highlight and see the address. I can see how many bedrooms, when it was last sold, how much it was last sold for. And I can remove it if I don't want to send one to that specific house. So we'll zoom back out, look at my targeting area. So that's a pretty well spread out area. And then this is where if you want a copy to come to the office, you toggle that and it added 59 cents to my total. So I'm still staying under budget because I factored that in. If I get to this point and I realized I don't want to spend that much, you can change your number of homes you want to target up here. So you're not locked in just changing it the first time. So say that these are the lucky homes that are getting a postcard from me. I'm going to hit next. It's going to create me a preview of both the front and the back. We'll go down here in the meantime. So it's going to tell you what happens next. So if I were to submit this order before 3 p.m. today, they're going to go into production the same day. Once completed, they'll drop your mailers off at the nearest postal service facility for them to be sent out, and they will arrive in approximately 4 to 6 business days. So you'll get a more accurate estimate once it's submitted. But now you can see that that big white space looks a little bit less weird now that it has the address, the return address, and then the postage. So really now, all that's left to do is make a payment. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to take these to be printed anywhere. You don't have to put stamps on them. You don't have to go to the post office. They do everything for you. So all you have to do is design it and choose your targeting. So any questions? I'm going to stop recording.